Hello and welcome to the Run As Well podcast with me, Rick Pearson.
And me, Ben Hobson.
Today we're talking about signs that you love running too much.
Can't love it enough, Rick.
Well, you might think that, Ben, but actually I've got some evidence here over the next 30 minutes that could potentially change your mind on that one.
Yeah, I think that there's lots of reasons, lots of things that would indicate you love running too much.
Yes. We're here with our wonderful colleagues, Jem Buzon, Rachel Boswell, both of whom may love running too much. We're about to find out.
Rick, before we get into that, you've been away.
I have. I've been away in the south of France in the Alps.
Oh,
it was great.
Did you do any holiday running?
I did some holiday running actually, which is, yeah. But I think that even if someone with a passing interest in running, when you're in the Alps,
that's known.
It'd be unusual not to go out running.
Yeah. Agreed.
Lots of running and hiking, and a bit of time spent in some mountain lakes as well, which is great.
Just like lying there, swimming?
Actually doing some swimming,
Oh.
floating around. Beautiful part of the world, and yeah, I mean not a million miles away from Chamonix, probably only about 20 miles away from Chamonix. So
Did you get near it? Did you feel the UTMB tremors?
I sensed it. Yeah, the tremor, exactly. Yeah, the sort of tentacles. But yeah, it's amazing out there. Like all the trails are like really well marked and have like estimated walk-in times and stuff. So it's really well set up for it.
Yeah.
I think it's particularly popular with mountain bikers. So there are loads of mountain bikers out there, which actually looked quite a good laugh actually.
Amazing.
So yeah, it was great fun and but great to be back.
Of course.
Great to be back.
How's the musical going?
It's going to Edinburgh. But yeah, it's going to Edinburgh.
So exciting.
It is
Such
exciting,
a strange tangent for this
I know,
podcast.
yeah.
But if you don't know, Rick Pearson has co-written a musical centred around the Gwyneth Paltrow trial called I Wish You Well, and it's going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival.
Thank you
so if
very
anyone's
much.
going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival,
Go and check it out.
go and check it out.
Go and check it out. Hey, look, that's because I've got some other interests other than running, and I think
yes.
and I think that's actually
Good segue.
possibly what what we're kind of looking at. It's not that everyone has to have interest other than running, which is obviously the best.
Yeah.
But actually, maybe there are signs out there, amusing and serious, that's suggestive of loving running too much.
Before we get into that, Rick,
Please.
got some news for you.
Yes.
Do you like being outside?
I love being outside.
Do you like money?
Yes. Some more, please.
Right. So basically, Ordnance Survey. This came in, dropped into the inbox today, and I thought this is I like this. So I'm going to tell the listeners. The Ordnance Survey have launched a social media challenge based on trig pillars. Now, if people don't know what a trig pillar is, trig pillars are these like ordnance marking points. They're sort of like 4 foot, 3 foot high stone columns that you might see at the top of a known climb or something like that. Anyway, Ordnance Survey are going to do every Saturday during August. They're going to live stream from a mystery trig pillar somewhere in England across their social media platforms, and it's basically like a race. If you're on their social media platforms, you see where that is, you go, hold on, I know that trig pillar.
I could get there.
I know that trig pillar. If you race there and you say on the live stream, you say touch grass and you're the first one there, you win £1,000.
Amazing.
So the incentive is that,
Imagine you just walking on that hill.
well, you'd have to be on your socials.
True, yeah, true.
So if you're doom scrolling,
Yeah.
and you're sitting there in your house doom scrolling away, Saturday morning, what am I going to do? Doom scroll. And you look up and you see the Ordnance Surveys on there, and it's a trig pillar near you. Get your running shoes on.
Great.
Sprint up that hill. Get yourself £1,000.
Amazing.
I like it. But I
Yeah.
like it.
Getting people outside.
Well, it's taking that access point of the phone and social,
Yeah.
but the incentive is to actually go somewhere and get there as quickly as possible because you might win some money.
Yeah.
So look, get outside, have a bit of exercise, get some cash.
Win £1,000.
Win £1,000.
Great.
So well done them. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, and it is the orienteering, isn't it? The world champs are happening.
Oh.
I think later in August.
There you go.
So it's having a moment. It's actually in Edinburgh, and the world champs coming there. So map reading is coming back, Ben.
Map reading, not every, obviously not. If you get a map now and you go and find a trig pillar, you're not get £1,000 every time, but still,
Yeah.
do it for the fun.
Well, those races, the unsanctioned races,
Yeah,
that's all about map reading, isn't it?
pretty much.
And being cool,
Maybe.
and rogue facial hair, and craft beer. So yeah, maps having a moment.
Maps are having a
They're
moment.
back on the map.
Oh,
God,
Jesus.
God, it's shame I'm back, isn't it? Really. Right, should we crack on then with the meat of this show?
Jen and Rachel have listened to this long enough, so let's go on with the main stuff.
So the idea behind this was that we asked our lovely readers this in the magazine for some signs. So just to sort of give us some inspiration, I'll just read out a couple. You love running too much when, and Ilona Morgan says, your work colleagues no longer ask you what you did on the weekend.
Because it's the same answer.
It's the same answer, isn't it?
Yeah.
What kind of long run was it?
Same. Yeah.
To be fair, we don't ask one another, do we, really? It was like, it's pretty much a given. We've all been running.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah.
Oh, it's same. Like, how was your holiday? Oh, good. I had a nice run round. Is the first response. Yeah.
Of course, that was how you sightseed.
Yeah.
Open top bus, no.
Here's one for you, Ben. You wear shorts all year round. That's from Lee Wilkins.
Got shorts on right now.
There you go.
I mean, it's red hot today,
telltale sign. And one final one. You own more running gear than you do everyday clothes, from Mike O'Mani. I think a lot of us do, though, don't they?
Yeah, I mean, that's quite normal, isn't it?
Yeah. Depends how many everyday clothes you own, I guess.
Yeah. I would also say, like, the importance that you place on how you look when you're running versus how you look in everyday life.
Yeah.
I will put on whatever I want everyday life, but if I'm running, I'll think about that outfit way more. Way more.
Plan it.
The socks have to match the vest.
Yeah, the socks have got to match stuff. The glasses have got to look good with the vest you've got. It's like, whereas the clothes that I put on are like, that looks clean enough. Like, it might not be clean, but it's fine. Like, that's the sort of like hot take on everyday clothes.
I love that. Right, who's going to kick us off? Maybe Jen Bazon. Tell us one sign you love running too much, in your opinion.
So I think a key one is being grumpy on rest days, which I am a little bit. So, yeah, maybe that's worrying for me.
Like, you're a bit like you want to be running, or you're like a bit like on edge.
A bit on edge because I'm not moving. And then also if I come into the office and everyone's been for a run that day, I know it's my rest day, but they've got that bit of a buzz, they've got that high, and I'm like, I'm a bit jealous.
Should I be doing something?
Yeah.
I think that's good. Yeah.
I think that rest days when you're in a big training block as well feel like so against what you're meant to be doing. Like, that's the other thing when you're like,
Yeah.
and you just, because you feel good, everything feels good, so you think, more running. I should just do more running. I'm feeling good. I'm getting quick. Man, I'm good at this.
Well, that's the thing. You spend your time saying, look, guys, you have to take rest days because that's when you recover and get stronger and get better.
And you know that.
And then someone says to you, I think you should take a rest day. And you're like, no, I can't.
Not me.
Nothing, not me. I'm so good. Exactly that.
I like that. Ben, what have you got? What have you got for us?
Well, I've just been on holiday, so I'm going to say that you prioritise packing running kit before yourself, maybe the kids' stuff.
The shoes are getting there.
Before you've even considered like how you're getting there.
Yeah.
All that. I think that there's nothing wrong with packing your, running stuff on holiday. I think it's a very good thing to do. Great way to explore, as we talk about sightseeing. But I just that sort of like, where are we going? Oh, and then an extra caveat to this one is that me personally, as an indicator that I love, the moment I find out where I'm going, I'll check out the routes.
You're route planning.
I'm route planning.
But you're a man of
away.
maps. We were talking about this earlier. You love a map.
I do love a map, so I do like looking at an area and like working out what's good and what might be like, I'm gonna need trail shoes around here. Like, that's always that's always one, like, I'm just like,
That's quite an interesting decision, isn't it? It's like, if you've got one pair of shoes to pack and you know there might be some trails, but you're probably going to be running a bit on the road as well. Like, I always go for the sort of summer trail shoe.
That's what I took.
Can do everything.
When just been to Devon, took a crossover trail shoe.
Love
Great,
that.
fine on the roads, good on the trail.
I think with holiday running, you've got to be careful, haven't you? Because everyone wants to do it, and it's not like we're saying you run a bit on holiday, you love running too much. But I chatted to a guy when I was doing some ultra marathon training, which is a different podcast. And
That's a sign that you love running. Too.
He had a bit of chat that was like that he wouldn't go on holiday unless it was based around a race.
Yeah, that's
so be like, I've got to work out where the
Wait.
marathon is, and then potentially that can get like
That's
as a tick for that destination, which I personally thought was maybe a little bit indicative of loving running too much.
I think so.
Right, okay.
Rachel's about to go away and run a marathon.
I would say perhaps that all of my recent holidays and my forthcoming holiday, is it a holiday? I'm not sure, are framed around races. So I would go on said inverted commas holiday, like run a marathon while I'm there, maybe do some other stuff, come back feeling absolutely wiped out, thinking, was that a holiday?
Well, I mean, that would be that you're unable to go on holiday and not switch off from the running. Perhaps that's maybe the holiday should just be a holiday.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, that would be good.
Wouldn't that?
One
What
day.
a novel idea.
Yeah.
What a novel idea.
Yeah. Go on then, Pearson. What have you got?
You mainly read running books in your spare time. And I was this person.
Wow.
And I remember because I think running's really interesting, and I've loved loads of running books, as you know. But there is more to the world than reading about running, particularly when you work in running, as I have done for a long time.
Yeah.
I remember I was on a plane. I think it was off with my wife. It might have been our honeymoon, and I had this book called From First to Last by Charlie Spedding, and it's a good running tale. There's nothing wrong with it, but she was a bit like, you're too into this now. Like this is actually now
this
too
is
much.
our honeymoon.
This is our honeymoon, and you've just come from running, and now you're on the plane just reading about running.
Sitting on the plane in your vest and your shorts.
You've been planning your routes, you know. And I at the time I thought, don't be ridiculous. This is a brilliant book.
Yeah.
But I look back and think, actually, everything was getting a bit what's the term? Monomaniacal, I guess. It's one thing. I was just really interested in one thing, and I think that reading can be an escape from running if you're really into it, and probably ought to be. It can be something that it doesn't have to be about your kind of
that's interesting
your hobby. Yeah,
I've read a few through work, and because of work I've read quite a lot of running books, but they're not my go-to. Which is good.
It's a healthy sign.
I'm saying that's a healthy sign of if I'm going to pick up a new book, it's going to be something unrelated to running.
A little bit of escapism.
I say that reading. I'm currently reading Shoe Dog. So completely about
footwear.
And what's the Thin Air one?
Oh, Out of Thin Air.
Out of Thin Air.
Yeah, that's really good. That's the Ethiopian.
Just read that. I've lied.
So you've just completely gone against what you've just said.
Yeah.
Ooh.
What do you think? Are you a fan of the running genre?
No, I read before bed, and it's a good novel. Yeah, I like to get away
fiction.
from it. Yeah, fiction. When you've been writing about it all day, talking about it with your colleagues all day, you've been for a run. It's like,
come on,
switch off.
Let's switch off from the running content for a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I studied English, so I was used to reading Shakespeare sonnets, and so it's that's very much like a different world, which is all right. It's just nice. But I don't actually read running books, no.
And what's one of yours then?
Well, I would say that you don't need to love running too much to get a few stats about your run. Like, you go for a run, you get your pace, your time, whatever, this and the other. But I think that you're starting to verge on loving it too much when you kind of really thrive on analysing those stats.
Right.
Like, throughout the day, you're just sat at dinner and you're like, maybe if I ran at this pace, I could achieve this time. Or look at that graph. Look, I just did a progression run, and look at that. You get really excited about the shape of graphs, all the stats, the times, the pace. And then, if you use Strava, which many people do, you see which segments you've got. Oh, I got the local legend. Oh, I came third in that segment. And then you get competitive, and then you want to go back out and do that segment again so you can get a crown. It's not a real crown. It's a little emoji crown, but people want it, and you know that you love running too much when you just got to get back out there and get that crown.
I think that the moment that data dictates how and when you're running, beyond obviously people were like, I've got to go and do a training session and it's dictated by power or heart rate. That's one thing, but as you say, the moment you're going, I've just looked at that and I'm not there on that bit, or I need to go and do another run because my data on that last run wasn't good enough, so I've got to go and do this other thing.
And sometimes you find segments. Well, okay, right. Another sign that you love running too much is if you create Strava segments. Now, I've actually never done that because I actually don't know how, but I think you do if you do that.
Yeah.
But then some segments have really funny names. I remember going for a run near the All England Club in Wimbledon, and it's this massive downhill drop, and the segment's called Dodge the Tennis Cue Stretch, and I was like, that's cool, I really want to get that. And I was just free falling down this slope to try and get the segment, and I didn't even get top 10, But yeah, things like that. You're just like weirdly motivated by very strange
things.
Yeah, I have that a little bit of an obsession with checking my predicted 5k time. Like I do it every day for absolutely no reason. And even when I'm not training for something and I know my fitness is going down, I'm like, how much slower am I now over 5k every day? And then I'm always disappointed. And it's like, it's just a weird little obsession.
It's funny that, yeah.
What do you mean when that screen on Garmin, it says your VO2 max?
Yeah, like it comes up, my VO2 max and my predicted 5k, and it's like, I'm not really training for anything at the moment, and every time what a shame it's going down.
Yeah. What a tragedy. And what about your one about running to certain places that are like, you know?
Oh yeah, like run commuting to like a dentist appointment or a doctor's appointment. Like I do sometimes do this, and sometimes think it's a bit inappropriate when you're like lying there in your sweaty stuff. And I'm like, I think that was a step too far.
Yeah,
I think the destination, the destination should determine your like social like etiquette.
Yeah.
So if you're going somewhere where it requires like someone to be physically close to you, and you've just run there, so you're like, hello, I just ran here, and you're doing that when you get to like the reception, and they're like, oh cool, I really look forward to getting close to your face, which is now just sweaty and gross.
Yeah,
that is too
especially
much.
at the dentist, you've also got a bit of a dry mouth as well. Yeah,
you immediately feel odd, don't you? When you walk in, you're a bit like, oh wow, like no one else has run it. I'm like really a bit odd in this.
I'm all for people like, you know, alternative transport, but
great.
Well,
yeah, I think that there's a crossover.
Yeah, I've done that to the dentist. I did that twice, and like on the third time, I actually got conventional public transport there, and I turned up and he was like, "Oh, you didn't run here today." And I was like, "Oh no!"
With relief in his voice.
I've let him down.
I was like, "I'm slacking here," but probably you're probably quite grateful to see me.
What about PBs in your profile?
Oh, now this is
controversial.
I might tick out. I might get cancelled. I can't. It's the PBs in the title are actually all right, I guess. Like I think that it's a bit. If that's how you're front facing the world on social media, you want to immediately stake your claim as like running is
who you are. Yeah,
who you are. Running. Here are all my times. Like I feel like it's either done on a sort of like, I am really fast. You better be aware of how fast I am. Or it's just like, whatever. I'm in two minds about it. I think that the order that you put, like, what defines you is a real teller of like how much you love running. Runner. Father. Running is a superior part of your personality to being a parent. Or like, you know, if that running bit is first above all the other stuff, if you've got nothing else going on, fine. Just all you do is run, that's fine. But I just always find that like indicator of like the priority. Like how do you first stamp that like vision of what you look like on someone who comes to your profile that they've never seen you before, and they go, oh yeah, he's very keen on running.
on the old right, left, right.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely fine to like. There's a way of it is when you say like if you were like really proud that you'd run a certain marathon, you were like sub 4 marathoner, blah blah blah. The bit that I always a bit taken back at is when you get the full list of PBs. So you get 5k, 10k, half marathon,
10 mile.
And it's like 10 mile, 20 mile, and you kind of I guess that's cool. Like,
it's like a mini power of 10.
Yeah.
Just straight there.
So I always think that's a little bit like, oh, okay, that's really front and center of.
But I think it taps more into just like, is a sign. This is a question. Is a sign that you love running too much when it becomes the most predominant factor of your personality? Like, is that all right? Is that like is that how people identify as?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is all right. And it's I guess if it's like impacting negatively on other aspects of your life.
Yes.
Like other relationships, other interests, and it's having a kind of negative effect. Then I think that's that, and probably that tipping point is going to vary for different people, isn't it? Like if you haven't say you haven't got kids, or you're like you haven't got a relationship, then running maybe can take up like huge amounts of your time, right?
Yeah.
More power to you.
Whereas if like there are other responsibilities that maybe should be taking priority.
We're sort of we've approached this sort of like you love it too much with a bit of a light-hearted approach. But there is obviously a very much a considered darker side to this, where people have become addicted to it.
Yeah.
It becomes all consuming. They lean into it for it is a coping mechanism for probably other issues, for deeper issues, and they lean into it so much as like, this is going to be the thing that helps and cures me, when it actually just extrapolate, it just builds and builds and builds and makes a problem more of a problem. So I think there is that side of running.
Definitely, yeah.
And we've talked about the mental health benefits of running, but it's not a cure for any sort of like problems that you might be having. It might help you. It's absolutely fantastic at helping people with managing situations, but it's never like the one
silver bullet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like running relieves stress, but it also is a stress-inducing activity. Not necessarily in like the mind aspect of things, but physically, yes. And it is kind of that fine line of, you could be feeling golden and like your 5k predicted time is going down and your VO2 max is going up, this, that and the other, but it's sort of like having to try and keep that kind of rational brain and think, okay, well, I'm actually going to head towards an injury here if I keep running. To backfire, and then I won't be able to run because I'm injured, and it's sort of learning when to find the balance between what else there is, or finding something else. Like
and I think those times when you're injured, it can be quite stressful at first. You think, oh my god, what am I going to do? This is like my stress relief and whatever. And I've had times where I've not run for months and months, and actually it's good I felt it was good for me to find joy in doing other things. Like actually I really enjoy baking or painting or cooking, and just like filling that time where you would have been running with something else. It's quite nice to have that reset, I think. To remind yourself that you don't have to do it. I think that's really true. I think injury is an interesting one. I think that can be a tell if you love running too much. If you try and run off injuries, which I think we all know probably isn't a very good way of doing it. But you get so worried about not running that you carry on. I think that on that point, like, as someone who is currently like coping with an injury that's stopped me running for a long, like the stress of not running and then realizing that actually it's quite good to I probably have reached this, my body's obviously reached a point where it needs to readdress what's going on, and it's letting me know. So being off running has been quite good in that enforced way, but similarly just the stress of it does make me go like, I just want to go run. I think when the weather gets good as well, you're just like, man, running would be really good. But I am running a bit more now, so that's good. But I think the injury bit, yes, I think that volume is the key here. So when you love running too much, you're basically ramping up the volume because it's the best thing that you've just discovered, and it's so good, and you're not like, your body's not prepared for that volume. And I think that's when you get the niggles and the injuries, and you just crack on because you just go, I've got to just keep running.
Love it, though.
I just love it. And I think that's a real, if you love running so much that you're willing to go out for a run to your detriment because of an injury, that's a tipping point. I think that's true. That's true. I've got one actually, more light-hearted. And this is actually from another reader. Says, you wince in pain when anyone mispronounces Saucony, Asics, Nike, or Hoka One One. Hoka One One. Yeah, if anyone's saying Hoka 11, no one's even saying that. People just say Hoka.
People say Hoka now, don't they? That's true.
Yeah, sure.
That's true.
I liked the one that we have from a reader on, you have running gear tan lines, because I actually do love my watch tan line. There's a bit of that where I'm like, I like that.
It's like proof you've been out running.
I've had my vitamin D, I've got a bit of a tan, got a Garmin tan.
That's true, actually. I agree. Because again, back to the outfits, I'm very like, I don't like a short sock. I don't like a hidden sock, and I certainly don't like a little ankle sock.
Not a trainer sock for you, Ben. Never seen you in a trainer sock.
Heinous, evil things. I like a
crew.
I like a crew.
Yeah. I
like a good length. And I have quite sort of the crew length sock tan line.
Oh, okay, right.
Is there, and I'm just like, I like that.
Proud of
and
that.
It's like you take your socks off and like, wow, why is that much of your leg and your foot so untanned? But it's a mark of like, there's miles have been earned. That's.
I think that's good. I think that's good. Like a sort of, like a battle scar, like a badge of honour.
You find that like with sports bras and maybe strappy tops, and all the straps are going in different directions, and so then you get to like the end of a run, you're like, look at all these different triangles and like that. Like, I've got so many shapes. Like,
the outdoors, the great outdoors. Yeah.
What about dreaming about running? you think this is a sign, and do you do it?
That's you can't control that. That's just your subconscious. Unless the dream is like a recurring nightmare, then maybe you're doing it too much, and your brain is in your sleep going, "Please relax about running."
Your anxiety dreams about running.
Do you know what? I don't normally remember dreams. I remember a few, and they're all awful. And I actually did have one dream about running, and I think it was a race, and it was just the whole thing was. And the worst thing is like there are actually real races like this out there. The whole thing was uphill, and I swear it was just getting steeper, and I just could like. There was this view of myself running up this hill, like having the worst time, but I wasn't allowed to.
Oh,
It was. I don't know. It was awful. I mean, I still kept running.
Yeah.
But it was awful.
Is that a recurring dream? That's just one off.
No, that was a one-off.
One-off.
But it stuck with me.
Yeah.
Sounds horrendous.
Yeah. What we're doing with our lives.
Another thing that you love running too much, perhaps purchasing of stuff.
Or like obsessively over-purchasing kit.
Over-purchasing kit. I think that or the desperate need to have the latest bits, maybe. That sort of stuff. Maybe you're sort of prioritising, that falls back into that category of like everyday clothes or whatever. I've had these shoes for 30 years, they're fine. Whereas the the running stuff's like, oh yeah, I like that.
Need that.
Yeah. Gotta have that. The consumption of energy products outside of normal, like in normal life. So like you instead of just going like, oh, I'm gonna have like a snack, you're going, oh.
Breaking out the bars.
You're breaking out an energy chew.
Get out the
Morton bars, Morton solid bar as like instead of a Kit Kat.
That's serious.
That's
next level.
When you're trying to sort of like eat like an elite, but for like every moment of life. That for me is like a
things are taken over.
Red flag.
Yeah.
Or like on like social media, there's like a lot of like running memes. If you start following them and looking at them going, and you like get it, I think that's a sign.
I think when you, true. I think when you, and also when you really relate to one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
me actually.
Oh, that is
that's
me. Oh, that is funny because that's me. That's when you. That's yeah.
What about seeing other people running, and getting really jealous, even if you've already gone for a run?
Yeah.
Rachel.
Yeah. No, I heard that the other day actually. I went for a run in the morning, and then by the time I got back from work in the evening, and the sun was setting, I was like, looking at all these runners being, you.
I don't think that's a sign you like running too much. I just think that's you appreciate the joy perhaps that those people would be getting.
Yeah.
I think if you put your shoes on and done a run, then yes.
Yeah.
But that would probably be like, oh, a spontaneous double day because I'm just whatever. No, that's different. I think, but seeing other people running, going, that I know that they'll be having a nice feeling right now. That's good. Yeah.
Let's talk about running tattoos.
Okay.
Divisive, because we've done these polls online before, and I've always said running tattoos, are they always a good idea?
Yeah.
A mixed bag.
Right.
Terrible, and it tends to divide.
Do you mean like a Nike tick on your neck or something?
Oh, you're thinking like Iron Man tattoo.
Yeah, like a bit like, or like, your marathon time and like the.
Oh no, that's insane.
It's high risk, that one, because you may improve upon it. So you might be going around branded with the time that you're actually quicker than.
Oh yeah.
At which point I have seen this, but people get a tattoo and they cross out the number,
Stop
and
it.
the new number goes back in.
I would never do that, no, ever. Also, my running times aren't anything to shout about too much, so I would have.
I don't think that matters, Jen. I think that obviously it's a very personal thing to get it tattooed on yourself, so I think that's fine. It's just such a big statement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, what's that? Oh, what's that on your arm? That's my marathon time.
It's become an Iron Man sort of joke, isn't it? Of like the Iron Man tattoo is what almost this sort of compulsory thing that people feel they have to get after doing the Iron Man.
Yeah.
It's not such. I don't think it's such in a running. I don't think it's in running culture as much.
Isn't it? No, it's not.
I
And
mean,
you'd never want to diminish someone's achievement
No.
by saying that, like, because you never know you never quite know the backstory of why they've got it.
For sure.
And all those sorts of things.
Yeah, it's a bit like winning medals, like where some really mean a lot to you. Like I have mine hanging up on my mirror in my bedroom, and like ones that you were really hard fought for, they really mean a lot to you, don't they?
Yeah.
Whereas some others, I'm like, I'm
Can't remember
not
doing
bothered
that race.
Yeah, didn't really try that hard.
Didn't even try.
Don't deserve it.
Yeah, I've seen at least 2 calves on human beings that have had tattoos of the 6-star Abbott World Marathon
okay.
Major 6-star medal. Like and it's got like 6 circles, ones for each marathon, and
Some of them are empty.
like 3 of them are like X number are blank, and then like 2 of them are like filled in, and like one of them was like at Chicago Marathon, and I was like, this was at the bag drop afterwards, and I was like, oh, bet you're excited to like fill in that new one. Like, but I mean, it's not something I would personally get, and like, you know, if that's what you want to market, then fair play.
Fair enough.
It's a good conversation starter, isn't it?
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
It's a
Exactly.
party.
Yeah. Always fancied the Olympic rings. I think it'd be a great lie.
It's just
Be like, yeah,
oh, what this?
Atlanta '96, got a bronze in the archery. Yeah,
You wouldn't get archery. You'd absolutely. There's no
But-
chance.
I think that's definitely what. If you got the Olympics, you'd have to get a tattoo, wouldn't you? Come on.
Yeah,
Of all the
100%.
tattoos, you'd be getting the
I
rings, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course.
Definitely.
But on Rachel's point, I think sometimes with running, you stare at other runners too much.
oh yeah, we were on about this earlier.
So this is
Yeah.
I do this.
Or like you're like analysing form and stuff.
Yeah. But I find myself so a runner goes past, and it's immediately like, I wonder how they're running quite well. I quite like that's quite good form. I wonder what shoes they've got.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. They've worn the Adidas Supernova Rise. It seems to be working. Maybe tempo pace. And by this point, I've been staring for a few 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And it'll be to the point where it crosses over. Like, if they now looked at me
Yeah.
and I was and caught me
Hard
going,
to explain.
like with this sort of Paddington death stare going on. Like, why is that guy being such a creep?
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
it's
just looking at your shoes.
oh no, I'm analysing your running form. Come on.
It doesn't help,
No.
actually. It doesn't sound any better.
So that would be
I do find myself looking at people's shoes though, just
Yeah.
like a natural
Yeah.
reaction. Oh, what have they got on?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that never used to be a thing. I wouldn't. You would have gone past the runner and just been like, "Oh, cool, they're going for a run or whatever it is." And now I'm more
Yeah.
like, "What are they wearing?
What are they wearing?
What session they're doing?"
I like sometimes find that with like, you see some runners wear like finisher tees,
Oh yeah.
and if they've got wearing a finisher tee of the exact race that you did, I'll like obviously like look, which is a bit weird, and then I'll like sort of smile at them as in like,
Like, and
I
they're
was
meant
there
to,
too.
they're meant to understand your brain
Yeah.
process. Oh, it's because of yes, I understand.
and it's like, and then I've done it before where I've run in a pair of shoes in a very distinctive colour, and like there's another runner like on the pavement in exactly the same pair of shoes, and I've like look at them, you know, trying to like be like, and they just are like, what? They just don't get
What's
it.
going
I'm
on?
like, oh,
What
Yeah.
are you doing?
just run off, never see them again.
What do you think about like hearing distances and being like, I could run that? Do you mean like we'd be like, oh, like 50 miles to the coast, is it? Could probably run that.
That's
I feel like when that's in your head a bit, like
again
occasionally I get it. Like that's probably just about runnable.
on holiday.
Yeah.
How far is it to? We thought we'd have a day trip out to the coast. It's 20. Well, could run it.
I could run that.
Could probably run that.
Yeah.
And then I'm straight on the old route planner.
Yeah. Wait, so I actually already made this map at home. Perfect. That's funny.
No,
That's
I think
funny.
that's definitely one. There's always that sort of like, oh, I could run that, and that could be quite a good training run actually. I could get that.
Yeah.
And then you're at the dentist with a sweaty face.
I think it's one that we've got to ask our listeners, haven't we? What they think is a sure sign that you love running too much. So let us know at podcast@runnersworld.co.uk.
And there's bound to be some real good ones. that
And if we've
missed.
offended lots of you by what we've said, then we apologise, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're
Please
guilty
carry
of
on
most
listening.
of it. We're guilty of most of it.
Yeah, true, yeah,
We can't
true.
From
talk.
personal
I mean,
experience.
we're quite clearly just deflecting all of our own issues into
Yeah.
this one podcast. Yeah, exactly that.
So yeah, I think that brings us to the end of this roundtable discussion about loving running too much. So thanks very much to Rachel and Jen for coming on, and
Thanks, it's been
to you,
lovely.
of course, for listening.
Thank you so much for listening to the Runners World podcast. You can subscribe to this podcast wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. Just click subscribe. It just means the episodes arrive on your device, and they'll just be there for you. It's such a good idea. Also subscribe to the magazine. Just Google Runners World UK. You'll find the Hearst magazine website. Subscribe. There's probably an offer if you're not a subscriber, because you wouldn't subscribe twice. So you're definitely not a subscriber. So then you get some sort of introductory offer. I think it's like £1 a month or something wild now. We just had Josh Kerr on the cover. He's going to the Olympics. That's the calibre of thing you can expect. Thank you so much for listening. You'll hear from us next week.